Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for another episode of Down the Rabbit Hole. Loving this series, some great discussions. Let's see if we can get this done. We're on section 16. Headphone warning.
While the state of the company would have a significant impact on the game as a whole, the conflict in Nullsec would continue unabated. While nestling itself into its new home region of Delve, Goonswarm recognized that it would need allies in order to weather any upcoming wars, given their penchant for angering other groups of players. And so, they organized what they named the Cluster Coalition, consisting of numerous nearby corporations, often gathered together not due to affable relations with one another, but rather due to common enemies. The animosity between these groups is difficult to overstate. On the verifiable end of the spectrum, players would locate spies and, upon tracing their IP addresses, would publicly post their identifying information, including their full name and address, in order to threaten them. This became a common occurrence, for which certain leaders became known. Even more extreme.
That is so toxic and bad. It goes beyond toxic. It's crimes. Like, don't do that, chat. It's look, it's a video game. So not worth it. So not worth it. That is horrendous. Okay? That goes beyond we're playing a video game and goes into the category of obsession. Okay? It's just not good. It doesn't speak well of their character. We'll just put it that way. Now, we're about forgiveness here, but we still have to be honest about what people are doing. That's not good. That's not good. Crazy.
Extreme allegations would arise over time, though their veracity is in question. For example, in 2009, the Mittani wrote an article for 10 Ton Hammer in which he stated, quote, "About 2 years ago, Goonswarm was aiding our allies, Red Alliance, in the invasion of the Scalding Pass region against Lotka Volterra and their coalition. Lotka Volterra had unveiled one of the first titans against us to catastrophic consequences, and at the time these profoundly silly ships were nearly impossible to kill through legitimate in-game means. They were essentially invulnerable, with the only titans destroyed through catching the ship while the pilot was disconnected from the game. It was determined that the Enslaver and his Avatar-class titan had to go. I was approached by one of the leaders of Red Alliance to help make this happen, but almost immediately we were down the rabbit hole. Much to my surprise, the Red Alliance director didn't want in-game information from me. He wanted us to use the forensic resources of our intelligence agency to track down the Enslaver's home address. At a coordinated time, armed with this information, a Russian Alliance member would apparently cut the power to the Enslaver's house in the real world, and in Eve, a Russian Alliance capital fleet would assault the abruptly pilotless Titan. Yikes. As one can imagine...
That is so dumb. Okay? That is, it's toxic. It's quite frankly, I think it's evil. I really do. It's just, it speaks to a complete lack of character. And I don't care if an in-game thing is difficult. You know, this is my main point about this. If you have to resort to something like so serious that you're going to affect someone's real life like that, going to their house, that's not good. It's not even that it's not good. It's straight up wrong. It is morally incorrect. It is wrong, and that is bad. And if that ever, put it to you this way, if you're in a corp and you find out that kind of, because I know that stuff does happen sometimes. If you're in a corp and you find out that stuff happens, I would leave that corp. I would, personally. That's what I would do. I recommend you do, because, and just quietly. That way you don't anger the weirdos, you know, sheesh. That's real bad, dude. It's real bad.
I demurred, but the Russian Alliance director didn't want to take no for an answer, and I didn't fancy telling him that I thought he was completely insane. I said that I'd look into it, and that's when things
actually
began to get really crazy.
Actual, this is not trolling. This is crimes. It's not crimes. It goes beyond, oh, I'll abandon game. It's actually crimes. This is when the cops show up. You give them their photo. You like, this is the guy. This is what happened. This is, you know, you don't, if you're in a group and you see or hear about this kind of stuff happening, quietly leave that group. I would distance myself from those kind of people. So, right. And can you imagine you're in prison? It's on the docket. You know.
Hey, what are you in for?
So, we couldn't kill the Titan, so...
Can you, really, this is like, it's so bad. It's just not worth ruining your life. You know?
Crazy.
Not worth it.
Kugutsumen got involved. Kugutsumen is a French national living in Jakarta, Indonesia, who was convicted as a teenager in the early 1990s of freaking the FBI's conference call system and running up $250,000 in international calls. He copped a ban from CCP years ago for breaking the T20 scandal after penetrating the Band of Brothers director forums,
Wow.
but it seems the banning completely removed all restraint on his behavior regarding the game. He set up his own forum to cover the hidden news of EVE by publishing snippets from the forums of other alliances.
Sheesh.
Why didn't I have to deal with the Red Alliance trying to cut the power to the Enslaver's house to kill his Titan? Because Kugutsumen, out of either idle curiosity or malice aforethought, traced the Enslaver's IP addresses back to Iceland, confronted him on Lotka Volterra's TeamSpeak while under an assumed name, recorded the conversation, and then outed him as a GM and a CCP employee. End quote. But to the northeast in late 2011...
Out him as an employee. I don't really get that last part. That's pretty crazy. I think it's pretty obvious to everybody that that's not normal behavior, right? That this is someone who needs help. Someone who I'm a big proponent of therapy. I'm in therapy. I'm in therapy. I've been in therapy randomly throughout my life. Every couple of years, I'm like, you know what? I'm going through something. I want to talk to somebody, right? I really think that if someone gets to that point where they are going to harm people that much, where their life becomes about inflicting on other people, and they just need to talk to somebody, and they're missing something in their life. It's like there's a void in their life that they're trying to fill. Maybe. I'm not a therapist. There could be something else. You got to go talk to a therapist, chat. And this is my call out to y'all, not just the people that are doing that stuff. If you're going through something, it's like really heavy. We have a prayer request chat in our Discord. You can ask for prayer. I don't care what religion you are. I'm a Christian. I'll pray for you personally. With that said, if you need professional help, that's not what our community's for, right? Like you see in a lot of online communities, sometimes there's trauma dumping. I'll pray for like, hey, my grandma's sick. Please pray for it. Hey, so-and-so's friend passed away. We'll totally pray for you. But if you need professional help is the way to do it, you know? And I've been going to therapy since I was in high school. I had a crazy childhood. Not as crazy as some, but crazier than some, right? Not as crazy as some, but crazier than some. And touching some grass is part of it, but I think it's also, can you please pray my drones are not at alpha? I got you. You're super funny. Chad, it really comes down to this. If you're in a space where your life becomes about inflicting on other people, you need to like take a deep breath and realize that you're going to waste your life that way. And your life, no matter who you are, is worth more than that, right? It's worth more than just like having your life be some kind of like, I'm gonna wake up today and
All right, I woke up. I can't wait to screw some people over in and out of the game that we played.
That's not a healthy way to live. You know what I'm saying? So thank you, Austin. Thank you. And even though I'm a Christian, it doesn't mean I'm never going to force that on people. That's not what the Bible says. I do believe, though, that if you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, I can't wait to screw people, that's an unhealthy way to live. And all it's going to do is make you unsatisfied in the end, no matter how far that goes. So pray for this guy, chat, this guy that spends his time doxing people. Sheesh. So, it's crazy. Yo, Catch, thanks for the sub. Shots, thanks for the sub. Catch, 39 months. Can we get some 07s for Catch? 39 months. Catch, God bless you. That's incredible. Love that. Hopefully, they get the help they need. That's all. So,
The Russians, having once been relatively united, had again split due to internal divisions between the leaders.
Ooh, one sec. Zach, tell me. It's letting you know that we're holding a vigil in B9C25 in honor of the former CEO of Bandergods. I'll keep this in the YouTube video. I want this to be known. Bandergods Alliance recently passed. Thank you for that, Zach. The vigil will be held from this to this Eve time. Thank you. Yes. I want this to be in the YouTube video because this is something that happens actually in Eve when someone passes away. Just like there's dark. We just saw some darkness in Eve and around the Eve community. There's also a lot of light. Someone passed away. Someone that's important to the Eve community. The CEO of the Bandergods Alliance passed away. So if you want to go pay respects, if you were influenced by them at all, definitely go head on down to what Sacrifice just said. You can, I think Eve Reddit probably has a place where you can go see where all that's happening. So Bander Dogs. Oh, it's fine. No, it's totally fine. Thank you for the information. So if y'all want to go do a vigil, bring like a fireworks ship, a cheap ship you're not worried about dying in case you get AWACS or something, whatever the heck, and just go shoot some fireworks. So this is what we do when someone passes, is you show respect if, of course, they affected you. If you don't know this person or don't have the time, fine. But if you want to show your respect, that kind of stuff happens in Eve too. Where there's darkness, there's light. What's the line from True Detective, you know, the darker it gets, the more you can see how the light is winning. That's the way. Thank you for that. So, yeah, Zach, can you? Let's see it. I'm gonna Zach, one sec. I gotta permit you because we have a bot. Okay, go. You're in. Post it. Thank you very much, Zach.
Leaders of major powers, often involving what was known as RMT, or real money trading, another name for the black market economy in which wealthy players would exchange their in-game ISK for real money. Accounts from different players conflict on the prolificacy of this practice, with some leaders claiming that it was a rare occurrence, while others stated that nearly every person with a leadership position in every major alliance participated in RMT to some degree. The desire to sell ISK for real-world fiat currency was heightened for those in leadership positions who had accumulated more wealth than they could feasibly spend, and there was...
Look, not good. RMT is bad. RMT ruins the game. Now, but... Fair question.
But Loru, you can buy ISK with Plex.
Here's the thing. You can buy ISK with EVE. We've talked about this a lot, actually. It came up on our last Down the Rabbit Hole reaction. EVE Online does pay to win the best I've seen in any game because the items you can buy are so impermanent. If you buy gold in WoW and you buy a sword, that sword is live forever, basically. The look of it, how it is, it's live forever. If you buy an item in EVE and you suck, if you're bad, you'll die and you'll lose the ship and almost all the modules, right? So even if you buy a ship in game and you are not good with it, it can still leave. So the permanence of the items that you can buy with Plex within from dollars to Plex to ISK is still there. The problem is there are some people that want to make money with the ISK they generate in game. There's a lot of bad stuff around this. It's not something that's solved. Right now, it's bad for the game. We talk about this in our eFrontier video. If eFrontier does it right, that is then solved. Where now there is no RMTing per se. Now it's you generate assets in game that are meant to be sold IRL. We're going to see how eFrontier does. Once again, I'm cautiously optimistic. We talk about it in our eFrontier videos. Right now, RMTing is bad and quite frankly hurts the game. If you buy, look, if you guys are so desperate for ISK or Plex, you can get it on sale on Marquee Store using my code, you know, and damn right, Nerdatronics, you know, time to shill for the people, right? Because this is the way, okay? If you want items, don't buy them from sketchy websites. Go to Marquee's site, use my code Loru. If you want to use the official EVE site, use code Loru. That works there too, okay? You know, can vouch. So, just lost a decked out Centipath on a mission. There it is. And Austin, if Austin wanted, he could go to Marquee's store, buy Plex, get it on sale using my code, and keep it going and keep practicing. If you're a working adult, that's how it goes, right? The problem is, a lot of these sites that sell ISK and Plex, we know they hack accounts, strip them down, and then sell that ISK. This hurts. What if you log in one day and your stuff is gone? That industry helps those hackers. It's bad for the game in every way. So let's keep it going for sure. So
always a temptation to
better yet, watch the stream to win some money. He's right.
Raid a corporation or alliance's assets and sell them. Many large alliances were making remarkable amounts of money by renting space controlled by the alliance to smaller corporations. An article for Gamer Tribute describes some of the conflicts of interest. Quote, certain players were rumored to make thousands of dollars in real life through RMT operations, which meant threatening renter space put real-life income sources at risk for some players.
And look, like, I can see the appeal. You know, if all you do is play EVE. See, again, this is the kind of thing, I think this is going to happen in our lifetime. And eFrontier might be the catalyst if they do it right. Where we've talked about this in our eFrontier videos, where in Ready Player One, there is a market and needs and buyers and sellers in the game that your services could equate to real world, to livable income, not in-game income. I think we're moving towards that point very fast. And I do think, you can call me on this, that in our lifetime, I'm 30 something, in our lifetime, we're going to see video games you can literally play to live. We have pay to play. We have pay to win. We're going to see, you're going to like pay a monthly sub to eFrontier, whatever it is, Omega, to then be able to make income for your family. I think that is a thing that can happen in our lifetime. Will it be eFrontier? We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. I have a buddy who pays his mortgage clearing fights in MMOs for other people, piloting their accounts. It's madness. That is crazy. And this is against TOS. I cannot, I'm going to say it this whole time. If that's what we're talking about, it looks like it. This is against TOS. Do not do this. Is it tempting? Thousands of dollars? It is. But chat, how you do something is just as important as what you do. Okay? And it is journey before destination. Any Sandersons in the chat. You know what I'm saying? It is important. So, yep.
End quote.
Very
While
common.
It's impossible to say for certain, the Russians had a reputation of partaking in RMT far more than other groups.
Don't ever
which made
talk
a
to me or
massive
my
heist
son
in
ever
July
again.
of 2011 only more bitter. A trusted and well-known leader in a Russian corporation stole nearly 1 trillion ISK worth of goods and cash, including 2,400 plex valued alone at approximately $42,000. This would not stand, and the Russian federations, who had once been
at the time, remember one plex was a month. 2,400 plex, 42 grand? Is that what he said? I think so, right?
$42,000.
Sheesh, dude. Sheesh.
This would not stand, and the Russian federations, who had once been relatively peaceful, fractured and declared war on one another.
Yeah, no kidding.
As these wars raged, fleet commanders began to experiment with wormholes as tactical tools, especially as an escape route in case a fight was going badly. However, given the relative unfamiliarity with wormholes, nullsec corporations would sometimes make grievous errors born from ignorance of this chaotic space. For example, after losing a fight, the elite members of Pandemic Legion, closely affiliated with mercenary coalitions, hid their heavy battle fleet in a wormhole.
Oh no,
However,
you can in the big ones.
The combined mass of their ships was too great for the wormhole to remain stable, and it collapsed behind them.
And then another dreadnought is left.
None of the 46 characters who made it through the wormhole was equipped with the probes necessary to navigate a way out of wormhole space.
No probes.
So, with little knowledge of wormholes, they decided instead to simply destroy one another's ships and respawn back home. Elsewhere, the dissolving of familiar alliances meant that old enemies after the war were far—
They didn't have any probes. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, I guess there wasn't the map things that we have nowadays to go find them. That's crazy.
More vulnerable, and wars began to break out all across nullsec, with wild border adjustments on a regular basis. Not even Goonswarm was able to hold on to its prize of Delve. As these wars became larger in scope and game-related writing began to resemble more traditional news outlets, web traffic began to funnel into more professionally produced operations. But these outlets were often controlled by groups with special interests. Most obviously, the Mittani, a website owned and operated by its namesake, with writers creating all kinds of media. On November 13th, 2012, the blog Evaganda wrote, quote, "The Mittani has killed Eve blogging. Why read through dozens of sites when you can just visit one? You get features, news, opinion, and the unquestionable loyalty of the largest single block of players in-game, fed daily through forum support that rivals none other. I've been approached 3 times to write for the Mittani. The first was back before it launched, and the most recent was by the very same Mark Scaris that now poses the question of what to do with these blogging features. It is no mistake that other community-involved bloggers are also involved in that site. By the way, I turned all 3 of those requests down flat. Personally, I can't support the Mittani or the goons behind him. I don't link to the site here, nor will I ever do so. That is a role-playing choice primarily, but it is also because I knew full well what that thing's coming meant. And here we are. And it is only natural. Things change, remember? Eve is getting close to being a decade old. It is as predictable as the sun rising and setting that eventually something like that site would appear." End quote.
I think what they're trying to, if this is Rick's, I think this is Rick's himself. He's an e-partner. He does art stuff. What they're saying here is that the main trafficked Eve blog is this Mittani site, and this is owned and operated by goon sympathizers and indeed goon owners. And the goons are a big alliance, so there's going to be bias, is what it is, right? So it's kind of like the news nowadays, where if you look at Fox News, they're going to say that if and we're not going to talk about politics, this is just the reality, okay? If Trump trips on a curb, he hasn't, I don't know, whatever. Fox News is going to say, look how healthy Trump is. He tripped and got himself up quick. But CNN is going to say Trump is unfit for office. Look at this clip of him tripping. There's bias there very clearly. That's my point. Regardless, I don't care about your politics. I really don't give a crap, okay? The point is there's bias. So this writer turned him down on the Mittani site because he's like, look, there's bias to goons. If I write something that's like critical of goons, is it even going to go? Is it going to be edited? Is it going to be pushed down on the site? You know, I don't know. So it's fair. It's a fair thing to point out. You know what I'm saying? So,
But while both media outlets for game news and the alliances in nullsec were inexorably progressing toward a greater homogeneity, the players in Wormhole space continued to establish themselves. Over time, they had discovered...
This might be the best looking, most clear video we've seen of the old UI since we started doing this. Look at this, chat. Look at the Neocom. Looks so much better now, I think. We've got local, fleet. What's entrance? Need Wormhole from Empire. -1 Falcon, -1 Purifier when you get the kills. Sure. Double blasters, mids, mediums is cruiser. Remember when damage control was an active item? Remember that? Crazy. Fighting a Proteus. They're fighting a Proteus. Nice. Very, very cool. Fleet history, watch list, local. Yeah. Where are we? Subspace in unreachable channel. They're in Wormhole. Yep.
Covered more and more about their chosen home, some facts being more esoteric than others, and
what
this
a long
knowledge
day,
would
a good
turn
day.
this churning, chaotic hellscape
They're fighting on Wormhole, see?
into a verdant home replete with valuable minerals and friendly rivals. One of the most important habits adopted by early players was the mapping of wormhole space.
There it is.
Players from different corporations would be tasked with traveling through wormholes, taking note of what existed there, such as enemy bases or collectible resources, and sharing this information with the others, so that the immediate vicinity around their home system would be known, the connections spiderwebbing out, with some branches terminating back into normal
I love
space.
wormholes so much.
Due to the transient nature of the wormholes, these maps would have to be updated constantly, and they were closely guarded, so
like
as
every
not to
12
be
hours.
used against their makers. However, players quickly discovered methods by which they could, to some extent, control this space. By sending heavy ships back and forth through wormholes in just the right patterns, wormholes could be coaxed into collapsing prematurely, while guaranteeing that no ship would be stranded on the far side, a practice
Yeah, it's called rolling.
known as rolling a hole. These tactics could be used both defensively and aggressively. A corporation with access to a static hole could purposefully collapse it again and again, searching for targets. A static hole that linked to other wormhole space systems could serve as a way to search for new resource nodes from which to gather, or it could be a way to search for other corporations with whom to engage in affable combat for entertainment. But those outside of wormhole space came to know them for a different practice. If a wormhole corporation gained access to a nullsec static, then they could quietly use it to search for ripe targets. Once a proper target was spotted, a small raiding fleet would burst forth from the wormhole and begin raiding the surrounding space, destroying ships and looting until a response fleet could be organized.
Yes, sir.
Given the relative power of nullsec corporations and the size and mass restrictions imposed by the wormholes, it was common for such response fleets to substantially outclass the raiding bands from the wormhole corporations.
Oh, for sure.
And so, upon sighting them, the raiders would retreat back through their wormhole, disappearing into the labyrinth.
I love it, dude. Guerrilla warfare, dude. Yeah, the null blocks can have capitals pretty easily, comparatively to the Wormhole Corps, right? So they were able to kind of like bob and weave a little bit. They've got like, look at this raiding fleet, okay? We've got Cinnable, Vagabond, Harbinger, Drake. We have nothing below a battle cruiser, right? Cinnable, Vagabond, Harbinger. These are all cruiser, battle cruiser, Manticore, Onyx, Rook, Curse, Tengu. Yeah, I'm not seeing any battleships. Just battle cruiser and smaller. And then look at the enemy fleet. Dominic's Navy, Cyclone, Thanatos, Carrier, right? Capital. Straight up guerrilla skirmishing. They pop in. They're just like peeking through the wormhole. What's up, dude? Up, hey. Boys, we got a ripe one. And they just go get it and they go back in. It's one of the best changes to EVE, I think, is wormhole space because it adds a level of complexity to the map and adds doors. The fact that the doors open and close throughout the day is really awesome. You can also look at the their similar corps right here. So really awesome. I love wormholes. If you haven't ever tried out wormholes, I recommend it. We're going to keep trying to figure out wormhole diming, chat. We're going to keep trying to figure it out. I love wormholes, dude. It's so much fun.
Secrecy and aggressive demeanor of the average wormholer placed them at odds with the nullsec empires, and over time, the two came to regard one another as bitter enemies. The nullsec alliances relying on stability and strength, and the wormholers embracing...
Just noticed the Bandai cam at the top, dude. Let's go. So good. Their fleets have it perfectly calculated. Jumping out of the fleet reduces the hole. Jumping back in closes it. Yep. Oh. Nova. Yo. They've got the mass calculated. The Wormhole Corp. So if they have like, what is that, 15 ships. They've got 15 ships. And they are using a specific amalgamation of ships so that when they leave the wormhole, that is enough to like put it to half. And when all 15 of that same wormhole fleet jumps back in, the wormhole collapses. That's really cool. Oh man, dude. That's nuts. I love it. I love going exploring hacking wormholes. I need to figure out a fit that can hack and clear relic sites with sleepers though. Oh, we have one. Oh, Qualtech, we got the Proteus fit for you. Our Proteus fit on our YouTube. You can go to our YouTube and then look up the Proteus fit. It does. It can do combat sites and hacking through the use of a mobile depot. You can swap it in and out stuff. Which is the Guerrilla group, the purple or the red? The purple is the Guerrilla group because the purple is assuming these guys. Yes, it is because here we see a capital ship. Here's a Thanatos, right? That's a carrier. So I'm assuming this is the null block because they came in with bigger mass ships. Dominic's Navy, those are battleships. Thanatos carrier can't have those in most wormholes. Most. These are smaller ships. Frigate, battle cruiser. Yeah, so right, for sure. Yeah. Enjoy it.
Disorder and agility. Despite the equalizing forces of wormhole space, it still harbored its own elite, and they tended to occupy the C6 wormhole systems,
Yep.
the most dangerous and also the most valuable. The higher class systems tended to have unique stellar bodies, such as black holes and pulsars, which could dramatically alter certain statistics about ships, making them even more difficult to assail, as their denizens would specialize their ships to utilize these peculiar features fully.
I think these features need to be updated, and they need to roam around. I think that each system has its own. So right now what happens is each wormhole is its own entity, and the doors open and close, but the entity essentially stays the same. Where each entity, like a system that has a black hole in the corner, that has an effect. The gravity is higher in that whole area, so warping is slower, all that. You know, and then another one has a pulsar, so like certain weapons are increased because there's photons everywhere, right? I think those effects should ebb and flow from an area and shouldn't be just a static thing. I don't think it should change a lot, but maybe the black hole has a gravity tidal wave for 3 weeks and the warping is really slow in that area. Whatever. And big mass ships are really penalized. And it's not common, but it's random. I would like there to be more like exhaling in the world of New Eden. That kind of stuff I think would help a lot with not just in wormhole space, but across New Eden. Like I know that in nullsec there's the stain. There's like this, you can actually see it in space. The area of nullsec called stain, you can see the stain, capital S. It's like a big nebula. It's a crazy looking thing. That should do something to the surrounding area instead of just being like a you can't go there warpable, you know. I know that they're doing really good with the content that you're doing, champ, but there's so many little ways that we can like just help the environment feel more alive. That's kind of what I'm talking about. Like the planets look better now. There's infinite content to do in New Eden. But one of the major things I think EVE Online is missing is that the world doesn't feel so much like a world. It feels more like, put it this way. Yeah, HMS. During Winter Nexus, it's cold. There's areas of space that are icy, snowy, and there's special stuff happening. I'm not saying we constantly have to have events going. I'm saying if this wormhole has a black hole in it, you're telling me the black hole has the same effect for decades? Should the black hole effect increase? Okay, right? Should the pulsar eventually go out in the pulsar system? And then you have a black hole, right? Should when the black hole eventually sucks up more planets, I don't know, like should that wormhole thing is done and now another one spawns? I don't know, like there's a bunch of stuff that you can do. So 2 days ago, I found a wormhole 2 systems away from Jeddah. I saved 30 jumps normal route and I traveled to Jeddah and back to Wool Day and selling my gas. Yeah, that's awesome, Jay, good job. Less overheating for sure. It would be neat to see the storms continue to roam just less often. Yeah, like there are some metaliminal storms, but they're so infrequent when it's not a winter event. Yeah, right. Stuff like that would help the game to feel more organic. That's it. Because the game is really good at having organic content with players and other players. The PvP is very, very organic. But the world, you interact with an interface so much. I don't feel like I'm in the universe as much as, again, when I play like WoW, I feel like I'm in Azeroth. Like I can look over and see enemies and I have to like plan my thing, you know, and then during the winter event, like, and this is something I wish WoW did too, Like now it's snowing. This is something I think Ashes of Creation is doing, where there's actually weather, and the weather affects things. If it's cold, there's certain mobs. If it's hot, there's different mobs. It needs to be more. Eve is great. I think it's great. In order to make it excellent, those little things, I think we need to flesh it out somehow. And I think Frontier is going to help with that a lot because of I can't talk about the stuff in Frontier yet, but what I have played is good. That's really all that I can say. So, reduce descan. Dude, that would be sick. Think about that. Crypto, yo, yes. Like, you're in a system that has electromagnetic pulses coming from the star or something, right? And that reduces your descan range by half. Whoa. Stuff like that,
sale, as their denizens would specialize
got
their
good
ships
ideas.
to utilize these peculiar features fully for defensive purposes, their ships funded by the valuable resources there and in the wormhole systems that tended to link to them. These larger corporations naturally became targets for others looking for a good fight. The most well-known example was the corporation Rooks and Kings, who delighted in discovering ways to push the game to its limits, and their French corporation, Guillotine Therapy, who primarily
recognize
lived
this
in
name.
wormhole space. Their YouTube series, named Clarion Call, attracted the attention even of those outside of the game, as their stories of frustrating the efforts of much larger corporations became legendary. In particular,
I'll have to
they
look up
became
that video.
known for a unique tactic: pipe bombing, by outfitting
Maybe I can react to that.
a small fleet of battleships with smart bombs and equipping defensive modules that allowed them to resist the particular kind of damage that the smart bombs produced. They could effectively destroy any intercepted enemy fleet while remaining mostly intact.
Wow.
This was made possible in part due to the rigid habits of fleet commanders in nullsec corporations, who were predictable enough for these strategies to continue to work for months. But even as great powers were established...
Interesting. Oh my god.
Yeah, those no-set guys, they never change. What's the fit? Smart bombs and armor? I'll take 5.
Incredible, dude.
Establishing themselves,
Incredible.
there was a new, unorthodox section of EVE Online growing.
Moons are static. Solar systems are static. That's another thing I wish changed. Like, if you look at a solar system in 6 months, the positions of the planets and the belts don't change. Wouldn't it be interesting if only they just moved every day? If they moved a little bit, they don't gotta move while the game is going on, right? What if at downtime it moved like a little bit AU to the side, something like that? That would be sick.
Faster than any
That'd be
other.
sick.
The casinos. By sending ISK to trusted banker
Casinos.
characters, players could exchange their in-game money for tokens to be used on gambling websites, much like chips.
What? I think this is against TOS, Chad. Don't do that.
At a real-life casino, and soon, players with vast stores of liquid assets and nothing else on which to spend them would gamble large amounts for entertainment. The money being funneled through these websites was massive and only growing day by day. But all of this was contingent upon Crowd Control Productions managing their game while simultaneously launching further games, something that would prove to be a titanic struggle.
Yep. Wow. So yeah, and obviously I don't have to say, but don't do that, Chad. It's against TOS. Just go to the Hypernet. You get better stuff. So, what's super interesting? Would you need to redo all your bookmarks every day? No, I would like your bookmarks to be centered around where the location is in relation to the sun. So if you have a solar system, right? Do I have my pen? I do. If you have, what I'd like to do is if you have your solar system, okay? Let's say, come here. Come on now. Let's say this is the sun, all right? Give me back my sun. Okay, let's say you put a bookmark here and the planet is here one day, but then over the course of whatever weeks, it's over here, okay? I'd like the bookmark to stay here, right? Like, or stay in the same place the X is, because the X is in relation to its location to the sun of like the top-down view of the like solar system. So even though the planet's here, the bookmark's here. So if you have a bunch of planets that are like doing stuff and moving around this, imagine that one change. Imagine what that does to the game and the warpables and how we play the game and save points, because maybe there's like and those bigger solar systems, maybe there's like a god save point that is not able to be gotten today, but is gotten in like 3 weeks. You know, I think that would be sick. Y'all, when Eve goes into Unreal Engine, I think Eve Frontier is an Unreal Engine. Ladies and gentlemen, this is always great conversations with Down the Rabbit Hole. One of the better ones today, I think. So if you want more of this, make sure you sub right here. If you want the full Down the Rabbit Hole playlist, that's right here for you. We'll see ya in the next one. Thanks very much. I will see you soon.